Hi everyone, this is Peter. In the first part, I have actually introduced the F55, the difference in between the F5 and F55, and also the basic operations, some buttons, and some advantage of the F55. So for this part, I want to get more deep into the menu and also maybe what's maybe you have to maybe know about when you just like maybe using this camcorder. So before this, and then I just want to maybe showing you how to attach the raw recorder, because I think Sony have actually getting a very good design to make sure that raw recorder will not just like slipping out away. For this setting, you will see this is a F55 body only. So they will have a V-mount plate at the back, but you have to take this out before you put it onto the raw recorder. So what you need to do is just release a button, and then you will see there is a lock, and then it just release. So you release it out, and then the whole back will be just like disconnected. So the design for the raw recorder, the lock will be exactly the same. So you release this button, and then you just turn it out. And then just like this is you see there is maybe a plastic locker on here. So what you need to do is just put it back into that 4 holes and then just press it in. And then the whole stuff will be just like locked with the F55. So now it just looks like one unique body without maybe any like extra bits and pieces, and then you want to maybe put it on. So it's very convenient when you put it onto maybe with the raw recorder. So put on the batteries. Okay, so now I can just turn on the camera. So I will talking about like maybe the information which show in this small LCD screens. So this LCD screen is only showing you the data or the information or setting of the shots of that you want to set. So don't just like maybe this is not a LCD monitor which they can play back the video footage. You still have to use a viewfinder or maybe an external monitor to just like play back your shots. So okay, on here, because now I'm setting the 4K RAW. So that means for the exposure and also the slow shutters is actually been off. So it's been very simple to recognize which one is activated, which one is disabled. So if you see the parts, so you see there is maybe 6 parts in 6 hole here, just 6 function here. If you see that part is in gray color, so that means that is disabled, or maybe they are actually maybe force you to set on that setting. So at this moment, because I'm using RAW, so you will see I only can switch to the shutter angle or the shutter speed or the color temperature. Even the color temperature, you can only set to like maybe the 3200, 4300, and also the 5500. Because for the RAW, they will like you to do all the color calibrations just like at the back. But maybe sometimes you see, okay, it's better to get you, for example, like it's a tungsten, and then you better change into maybe a 3.2, so that in case. And then for the ISO, the exposure index, you will find out they have forced to just like maybe not forced. It's actually disabled and preset into 1250 ISO. So because as Sony said, is the 1250 is actually is sitting on the middle of the 14 stop of the dynamic range. So that's why they think, okay, just let's disable this, and then you can do in the post or on the color grading later. So that's why just make the whole setting simple. Okay, so this is the setting that you want to set up, and then okay, if I want to maybe to see the shots to do the playback, and then what you need to do is you just go to the view buttons, and then you will see the actual buttons here is actually changed into another settings. So you can go to the thumbnail and then set up. Oops, but why I can't get it? Because if you attach with the 4K RAW recorder, and then you have to set a BNC out from the aux out from the 4K recorder to your to your monitors to show the 4K RAW HD out video signal. So if you don't want to do that, because as I said, you actually can also record a prop C footage from your F55 through the S/S Pro Plus card. So what I need to do is just first select the 4K RAW recorder. Then now all the settings is actually jump into the F55. So now once I push onto the thumbnail, and then you can just choose whatever shot you want to set. For example, okay, I want to play these shots. Then okay, you press the wheel and then just play, and then it will showing the videos, then playing the shots that you want to play. So please simple, stop. Once you stop, and then it will jump back into the camera mode, and then you press camera, and then the camera setting is all included into this LCD. So this is only a LCD for you to showing all the setting. It's not a LCD which can see the playback videos. Okay, so when we are actually go through the setting of this screen, so we go to the menu. So when you go to the menu, you will find out, okay, the wording is being quite big, so that means the functions or the setting you can set in this menu is not very complicated. So that's why you will see there is they have already set up into different categories. For example, for camera, audio, video, we'll find the time code, recording, and the system maintenance. So if you are using the 4K RAW, if you want to use the 4K RAW recording, so you have to go to the system and then go to the basic setting. So when you go to basic setting, you press this button in, and then you will go into the submenu. So in the submenu, you will see that there is a shooting mode called Scene EI. If you want to shoot on the 4K RAW, you have to set this into Scene EI. So if you're using custom, so that means you actually disable the 4K RAW. So what's happened is when you're using execute, and then you will find out the 4K RAW recorder will be just totally shut down. And then it's just like maybe the whole 4K RAW is just like dead, and then without any response. So if you want to do a 4K recorder, use the 4K recorder, make sure go to the basic setting, set the shooting mode into Scene EI. So when you go to the Scene EI, and then the S-Log, everything is been preset. So okay, so now I'm in the XAVC or maybe the F55 mode. So what I need to do is, okay, then if I want to record the XAVC 4K, then I have to go to the record format. When you go to record format, and then you will see at this moment for the version 1.0, I can only choose the XAVC 4K, XAVC HD, and the MPEG-2 HD. So for me, okay, I definitely want to just record the XAVC into 4K. So then you go to execute. Then you go to execute, and then you are now recording the XAVC 4K into the S/S Pro Plus card. But as I said, because okay, when you're using a 4K RAW recorder, you can also record, you can say is a proxy or maybe a HD format for you to just like get easy to edit onto your computer. So for the 4K XAVC format, you can also go to record MPEG-2 proxy HD formats. So what you need to set is you go back to the recording, and then when you get it in, you will see a MPEG-2 proxy. So what that means is when you record XAVC HD or maybe a XAVC 4K, and then if you set the MPEG-2 proxy is on, so they will also record an MPEG-2 format, which gives you a higher compression but is much easier to edit format onto your computer. Then you can have a rough cut on that, and then you can chef the 4K footage afterwards. So it's a pretty good and nice for you when you're doing the edit. So it's something like this. And also when you go back to the menu, now you can see is more setting you can put it on. For example, now you can control the exposure sensitive index, the ISO, and also in some cases, if you go to the menu, back into system, and then you go to the S gamma to the normal. What you can go to is now you are actually go out from the S-Log. So once you go out to the S-Log, you will see the gamma is also out to the S-Log. So that means, okay, the S gamma is the color space, but for the S-Log, it gives you the 14 stop diagram range. So you don't go to mess it up. So when you just like maybe disable the S gamma into normal, then you can actually go to the S-Log and then go to the hyper gain, or maybe you can go to standard and then you can go to S-Log. So I still recommend when you're using the XAVC 4K, go to the menu, back into the S gamut, because the S gamut color space is give you more information and give you more detail if you compare with the standard. So I would strongly recommend you go to the back gamut. So this is most likely, maybe I can show you what's the setting for the F55. So as I said, I have actually partnered with one of the cameramen in Hong Kong, and then we go out for shoots, and I really like this camera. First, I think they give us that 14 stop diagram range is create a lot of like maybe space or creativity for us when you are going to be like maybe a very small crew, just like only me and also the cameraman, and then we can have like we can use most of the situation using the ambient lights, or maybe just only 1 or 2 lights, to getting a better light, maybe a field or key shot lighting. And then at the same time, the size itself, although we will think, okay, oh, the size is still like maybe a little bit too big with the C500 and also the Epic. But to be honest with you, I think the quality is actually good enough for me to just like do all those shots like maybe a handheld or something like that. Because I think the balance itself, I think Sony is doing quite a good job on doing all those light balance. To be honest, you have to just flip it back to here, but maybe I just won't want to waste the time to do this. And then you can do all the shots like that, and then you don't need to have like a very like super professional rig maybe to hold this, because I think this pack is actually good enough for you to doing all those kind of handheld shot. The only bad thing is this is too expensive, and for the operations for this, because as I said, the menu has been very simple, so that means you no need to take a long time to just read the menu and then to make sure everything is setting like correctly. So it's pretty easy, and then you just like take a very short period of time to get over with this unit. And then for edit, at this moment, I'm for XAVC 4K format. You can use the Final Cut Pro X. And then download the plugin from Sony, which is free of charge. But make sure your Final Cut Pro X must be 10.0.5 for Mac version or up. So that's why. And then when I'm using my 2011 MacBook Pro, and then it works like perfectly, and then without any jiggling, and then I'm happy about that, because my MacBook Pro is not the latest version, and then it's still working fine. But for the RAW format, the 4K RAW format, you can actually go to the Adobe Premiere CS6. And also, you can go to the website in Sony and then download the 4K RAW plugin. And make sure, if you're using Mac for the Premiere, and then make sure your Premiere is 6.0.3 or up. Otherwise, and then your plugin will not work. And okay, because it's 4K RAW. So when I put it onto my Premiere Pro, and then Premiere that doesn't really like maybe as smooth as the XAVC, because it's still raw. And then when I just like maybe play for like several seconds, and then it just stop, and then it just like run for several seconds, and then it's just stop. I think just because the performance of my computer is not good enough to look after 4K RAW. But anyway, the workflow has been set up, and I think in a short period of time, and then more and more software can be support the XAVC and the 4K RAW. You no need to have like separate software to do separate thing. So hopefully on the back of this review, I will put on some like maybe a making of when we are going for shoot, and also the real footage that we are actually putting on. Hope you enjoyed it, and then if you have any questions about the F55, please visit A&S website.